Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. So glad you're here because we are going to have a good time talking Disney by answering some of your great listener questions. Ricky is here. Scott is here. Pam is not here. She's on Icon of the Seas, so she is winning at life, but we're going to have a great time anyway. And we get some questions. Well, we discuss Big River Grill going away over on the boardwalk. RIP to this restaurant that was kind of a go-to when you needed a place to go, but you had nowhere else to go. We also talk ground transportation for your next Disney cruise. We also discuss when to go to Disney Springs if you want to avoid the crowds. Not Saturday night, not Friday night. Also our favorite places to dine when you're over at the Springs. Crowds if you're down there during the Summit, Cheerleading Championships, or Worlds, and much more. So we have lots of fun talk on today's show. Don't forget, our podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We would love to help you plan an excellent Disney vacation, whether it's out to Disneyland, down to Walt Disney World, sailing with the Disney Cruise Line, or seeing the world with Adventures by Disney. Our services are absolutely free to you, and you're going to get first-class service every time. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do. beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons. You guys support the show. You make all this possible. So thank you for that. You can become a patron yourself. Just $5 a month. It's less than a Starbucks a month. And you support the show and you'll get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over. We're waiting for you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2424 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Actually, it's Wednesday, but happy Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, whatever day you're celebrating. The good news about podcasts is it doesn't matter. You could be listening to this on a Thursday afternoon. Who cares? Let's get rolling with this show. Because, I mean, if we're 30 seconds in and we're off the rails because I don't know what day of the week it is, but that's going to be how this show probably goes. And we're going to have a good time today. So joining me today, well, Pam Forrester not here because, well, as you know, she's iconic. And today she's sailing the Icon of the Seas. I mean, this thing is enormous. The biggest ship in the world, Royal Caribbean. So she's going to come back and talk about, I don't know. This ship has everything. I mean, it has more than some small cities most small cities in Missouri. It's got everything. So she's going to come back and tell us about that. But today we have Scott and Ricky, and we're going to be holding down the fort and having a great time answering your questions. Joining us from themouseforless.com down in Atlanta, Georgia, we have Ricky. Ricky, happy Wednesday. I know the day now. What's going on?
Happy Wednesday. I am not sailing on a ship. Which makes me very sad. So I could really see. So it would be nice to see the blue skies and blue ocean and sand instead of the grossness that is outside my window. However, with that being said, it is supposed to be in almost 70 degrees by the end of this week here in Atlanta, and I am so happy. This is why I moved to Atlanta because yes, we get winter. And yes, it stinks, but it's not here for very long, so I'll take it.
Stop. I just gave you a scratch. That's not good.
Yeah, that's all right.
We are covered in ice right now. My wife took Riley out this morning, fell. She's sore. Like the fire truck sliding down hills.
Yes.
I saw the lead in the news right as we were getting ready to record. This car literally, because some people have to go to work, right? I mean, all the schools, everything's closed. I mean, everything's closed. Courts, everything today in St. Louis. I mean, because it's a sheet of ice. Yeah. Well, somebody had to go to work, I guess. Cars going down the street, right? And it is just hitting every single car as it goes down the street. That was parked on the street, just boom, boom, boom. Hit 7 cars before it came to a stop. Oh,
did they at least stop and then like...
I mean, the video stopped at that point. But I mean, what do you? I mean, how long does that take to go to every neighbor and be like, dude, I hate your car. I hate your car.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do it. It's like
it does a lesson in momentum. Like that'd have been a great
your
6th grade lesson.
Oh
my God, I don't want to think about it. And that was when I went into Mallory's room and I said, "Give me your keys."
You're not going anywhere.
So watch this video.
Keys for you.
Yes, no keys till spring. Anyway, joining us as well from up in the land of the mitten. And actually, I saw this reference because I was watching the Lions game the other day and they were talking to your big defensive end, number 97. I forget his name, but he is awesome. And they asked him, where'd you go to high school? Where are you from? And where'd you go to college? And it was all 3 places in a small triangle. And he pointed it out right there on the palm, right there on the mitten. He used the strategy that all Michiganders do. What's up, Scotty G? Go Lions.
Go Lions. That's Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, he's a Michigan man for sure. Unfortunately, he went to that other school that I don't like to discuss, but good guy. Yeah, he's a really good guy. Mike, I gotta start off with a shout out to Emily though, my daughter. I know she's not listening, but this is her episode. 24 is her number, and I believe you said 2,424. This is episode 2424.
Nice.
For those keeping score at home, that's a cool number. So we're going to do our best to give you a magical episode today. So let's go, team. Let's have a great episode.
Wow, Scott's like throwing down the gauntlet. I don't know if I'm here for like a magical episode, but I'm here for a decent one. Let's go.
I'm hyped. Dude, you only get episode 24 once in a lifetime. So I am hyped that I'm on the show.
Is it 24 karat magic? I feel like that's
right.
I don't know that we'll be around for 24,000. So let's enjoy 2,424. Shout out to Emily. Just did the Coast to Coast. And had an amazing time hanging out with her out at Disneyland at Walt Disney World. It was so much fun.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. So we were talking in the pre-show, and I told you guys to stop because I hadn't hit record.
We're sorry. We were just randomly discussing things.
Before we get to the listener questions, we have quite a few. And if you have questions, drop them in the chat as you are joining us live here on Facebook. We got lots of ways to tune in now. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and where else are we? We're also on YouTube.
Pretty much if it's a
we're
social
on YouTube.
site,
Exactly.
we're
everywhere right now. But we were talking about the demise of Big River Grill and over on the boardwalk. And to be honest, I actually have dined there because I have a picky eater page back in the day. That was a good place for her to go. And the key to Big River Grill's success, I think, is that they did not take ADRs. You could sneak in there if you couldn't find anywhere else to eat at the last minute. Didn't have much atmosphere. Didn't have a ton of atmosphere. Had very kind of Applebee's food for the picky eater. But, I mean, I still am shocked that it survived as long as it did because it was not a great dining location, but it had awesome location on the boardwalk. But RIP, 100%. Big River.
Also, I feel like, you said that it was helpful that it didn't take dining reservations. It did take Open Table. I found out when doing some research about the restaurant as it was closing. But it also, I feel like because it didn't take dining reservations, you had to be in the know about that restaurant. You know what I'm saying? You had to know that it didn't take dining reservations and you could slide in there. Because with that, I agree with you. I have no idea how this restaurant lasted as long as it did. It didn't ever get the best reviews from anybody. I actually never dined there because of the fact that it didn't get the best reviews. And of course, there were lots of other places that I could eat at Disney, and I would rather enjoy something that wasn't Applebee's. So I chose other options. And I'm pretty sure most other people did as well. So I'm really surprised that it lasted this long. I did find out that there is another Big River Grill for those of you who may miss it. It is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So if you are looking for it, that's where you can go.
It's not really
I didn't realize
kind of a middle-sized river down there, Tennessee River. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was like a chain. So I mean, in a weird small way.
Huh.
But yeah, I did all this research on the restaurant as it was closing because I was like, it's closing. Good for them, I guess. But yeah, I mean, good for them for lasting this long is kind of more what I meant. You know what I'm saying?
It's a miracle because every time I walk past there, I'm like, I can't believe this place is still around. But I mean, because it never was full. It never was empty, right? I mean, this was the quintessential middle of the road restaurant, right? Yeah. I mean, it would be half full. There'd be some people eating outside, some people eating inside. When you went inside, some people described it as kind of a sports bar atmosphere. It really wasn't. I mean, there were small TVs. I mean, you're talking 32-inch TVs. It was not CityWorks. It was not Splitsville. Scott, you would not want to go there and watch the Lions game. It's not atmosphere. I mean, but they do have wings. They did have picky eater foods, really Applebee's kind of stuff, but it was one of those things you had in your back pocket, right? It was like your local Denny's or something you could go to if you're safe. Scott, did you ever go in there and eat?
Walt Disney World's Denny's.
I mean, it was.
Walt Disney World's Denny's.
I mean, if you were starving and you couldn't get any, like say you're staying at the yacht club, the beach club, you can't get in Beaches and Cream, you can't get in Ale and Compass, and dude, you're hurting for a sit down meal. Can't get in Trattoria El Forno. You're hurting. You go there, and I mean, you're still gonna get decent food, but I mean, you're not getting an atmosphere or anything.
So, Mike, you kind of hinted at the best part of the restaurant. Didn't fully say what it was. The best part, only reason I went there ever, is because I could sit outside. Like, I love dining outside.
Nice. Yeah.
And you would sit outside on the boardwalk, and you could watch people walking by. Sometimes you see people running, or you see the entertainment that you would see on there. Like, sometimes you see some families arguing. Sometimes you see a person pushing their Surrey bike for them or whatever. Now, like, it was like countless entertainment for like an hour, 90 minutes while you had a meal. So that was, to me, that was the best part, the people watching and being able to sit outside, because there's something valuable to me as someone that lives in Michigan. You can only eat outside like 3 months of the year. So I really love dining outside. So that brought the most value. The food, not that great. Even like their beer selection, I didn't even think was the greatest. Because they're kind of like, the names, I mean, it's right there in the name, right?
Big River Grill, brew, and brew,
So, but it was just, I mean, I don't have much more to add other than what you guys said. Like, it was sometimes easy to get if you were in a pinch or whatever, but the fact that you eat outside. So I hope whatever replaces it brings that outdoor atmosphere, because I think that's really valuable to be on the boardwalk, to be able to dine outside. I think that's a really cool thing.
Well, and that's kind of something that you don't get at a lot of Disney restaurants overall. You don't, I mean, especially in the theme parks and stuff like that, like you don't really get an outdoor dining experience like you do. I feel like you get that way more at Disneyland. There's more outdoor dining experiences for table service restaurants there, I feel like. But in which I get the weather, of course, in Orlando is not necessarily the best for outdoor dining, but there are times when you certainly do want to sit outside and enjoy a nice meal, and that was one of the few places that you could do it. But now, I mean, the boardwalk, it has changed so much in the last, couple years. I mean, seriously.
Still say two things about that real quick. I won't cut you off because we gotta get to the questions, but this is the opportunity for the diner. I mean, that spot for the diner, because think about this. I mean, think about this. So, I mean, on the boardwalk in that spot, it's about the right size, right? That is a great size for a diner. And I mean, it should be 24 hours, but I'm not asking to move mountains here. Let's take baby steps, right? It can close at midnight. But here's the deal. I mean, you got 5 hotels within walking distance for this diner. Plus, you could walk over from Epcot and the studios after a night when the park closes and get some pancakes or some waffles or biscuits and gravy. I mean, I died and gone to heaven just saying that right there. I mean, for the love of God, let's make it happen. I mean, printing money at this point. I would pay double what I pay at Denny's for this stuff. So put a diner in there and print the money. Just do it, Disney. I'm telling you, there's your mid. And here's the other thing about the boardwalk while we're there. This cake store, they dropped the ball in the ESPN thing. ESPN is all on the Bet ESPN train, right? And it's all about sports betting. They're in on it. They even have TV shows about it now. Scott, I mean, we can't do it legally in Missouri. It's not a thing here, but it is in all the other states around us. Disney's in on this. This is the opportunity that they like destroyed this cool sports bar atmosphere that I think would have been just great to have still. Like, I don't know. The cake shop's not done yet, so you can't really judge it. But I feel like the cake shop needs to be at Disney Springs, and that ESPN Club needed to remain and maybe be refurbished. I think its better days could have been now. But I'm a sports guy.
Well,
so
what
I'm
if
not
they
a
moved
cake
ESPN
guy.
or a type of sports bar type atmosphere to the spot where that's now open? I mean,
no, because that's my diner. I need my diner.
I get that.
Forget the cake shop. Yeah, you're not hearing me. We need we need a diner and then the sports bar both, like so I can go back and forth. Then I will never stay anywhere but the Epcot Resort area. Okay, so
you're gonna have to choose at this point because the cake bake shop is coming. So I mean,
when that goes out of business in a year, we're gonna do this. I'm just saying. Okay.
I feel like this point, like diner or sports bar, are the two options that we have. Now, here's the thing: neither one of those is probably gonna end up happening at the boardwalk. So we're really throwing out ideas for no reason, because it's probably gonna be some high end restaurant there on the boardwalk again. So I mean, that's what I see happening.
That is it. Okay, we had a question over on Instagram from Care Bear and says, "What's your favorite Disney Springs table service?" And she says, "I'm guessing not Terralina Crafted Italian." Who's Care Bear? Was she dining with us? I can't tell who that is because I can't do all this on Instagram. But was it somebody who was at our table? Because Terralina was all right. I mean, it probably wasn't my favorite dining experience at Disney Springs, but it was okay. I think I had
Did you do a review on that or something?
I did not talk about that yet. I mean, somebody's reading my mind, or they were at the next table, or they were at our table. I don't know with handles. I don't know who this is. And that's kind of.
Did you hear Elizabeth make the comment how
in
that
my
pizza
head.
was like a frozen pizza or something?
I can't see the picture. Hang on, I can't tell who this is.
Did you guys eat there? What over Marathon Weekend?
Yeah, we ate there the night
there
before the
Marathon.
marathon. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay.
This person's.
We
in
have
my
so
head.
many stories we haven't even
I
told
know.
about. Like,
Got
like
it.
our stays, like it's crazy.
We will. We ate there. First of all, we didn't know where it was in Disney Springs when we were in the Uber. We're like, we know where this is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's next to Paddlefish. Yeah, but it wasn't the best. So real quick, Scott, favorite dining location is a boat. I'm guessing Boathouse for you.
I have to stand with Boathouse. I mean, there's so many great options. And I'm excited to try that new like summer house place.
Yes,
we're gonna go there.
too.
We're gonna go there over spring break. That's an open table one too, Ricky. Like I could not find it on Walt Disney World
Really?
website to make a reservation, but you can on open table. So
Well,
we
it
did
did
that.
just open, so I wonder if that's why it's only on open
be.
table at the moment, and maybe once it's open for a few months, they'll add it
Could
to the Disney ADR.
And it might not be like the best place to go, but I just like new options, right?
All I can
I'm
say
always a
is-
sucker for new options.
They have a cookie bar there.
I know,
Yeah.
seriously.
Down for
Well, it's
that.
like crumble cookies, but
Yeah.
So many cookie options and dessert options at Walt Disney World. Though.
There are, and that's
It's
my
outrageous.
downfall. Yeah. So
But I gotta go with Boathouse, Mike. It's like kind of been ever since that restaurant opened. Like I was just talking about the outdoor seating, right?
Yep,
like I love
same.
the outdoor seating there. Like when you go to get seated there, like you think you're gonna sit in this one room and then you walk like for another mile and you're still in the restaurant.
That's
like
true.
it's so big. Like it doesn't seem that big from the outside, but great menu, great drink selections, and I just love the atmosphere and that view from when you're outside. So I gotta go with Boathouse.
Ricky, your dining location in the Springs.
you know what? I feel like it changes a lot for me because there are so many great options at Disney Springs. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say the Homecoming, because I mean, Homecoming is just fantastic. They have such good food. It's where pocket biscuits were invented by me. So, that's always a thing. Matter of fact, Pam sent me a onesie for Lucy that says pocket biscuit on it. She's a little too, she's still a little too small to wear it, but I do have a pocket biscuit onesie. I think I just ate at Chicken Guy. Sorry, I'm dying.
Chicken Guy's kind of changed some of their stuff around too. I'm just giving some time for Ricky to give us some water there.
There you go. Good call.
But like Chicken Guy, I think they reduced a lot of their sauces, which was
they
like
did.
a big draw, But for a counter service, like I think it's pretty solid. Like it's a pretty simple, straightforward menu. Like it's like chicken, right? You get the chicken tenders, you get the French
Chicken
fries
salads.
or whatnot.
Yeah,
But
they have good
I
chicken
think it's
salad.
pretty affordable too, Mike. Like
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
it's a pretty good option.
Yeah, but I mean, cutting back on the sauces,
Yeah.
man, you're killing the people
Yeah,
from the
they cut back
Midwest.
on the
I mean,
sauces,
dude,
which is kinda
we
wild.
live.
Cut back on the
People
sauces
around
a
here
lot,
live for sauces. I know.
Yeah, they do.
Oh man.
So Chicken Guy was very good. I like that. Thanks for covering for me, Scott. I appreciate it.
He's
And then I like Deluxe Burger as well. They have really good burgers, and of course, there's a Earl sandwich. I also tend to go to City Works a lot, so those are my options.
Basically, Ricky likes.
I know. I was gonna say you're just naming all the restaurants in Disney Springs at this point. Real quick, I'm just gonna say Polite Pig's mine because you don't need ADRs and it just smells good. I'm like,
And if you're driving, man, you park at the line
Oh, that's what I'm
garage.
saying.
Boom, you're
Dude, you're
right
dead.
there. You smell Polite Pig as you're pulling into the garage.
if you're
It's
of
like-
my generation, there was that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he'd be picked up by like a smell by his nose, and that's what happens. You get dropped off on the bus, and you're just like, carries you right over to Polite Pig. You're
I don't
done.
think I told the story. I'll spend like 60 to 90 seconds on it,
You're on
Mike.
the
So
clock.
on our New Year's trip, we got there on the 30th of December, and we didn't have a park ticket that day. We got there. We landed at 9. We were there so early. We're like, what do we do? We've been up since 2 a.m. We're hungry. So our plan was to go play mini golf like off site, but we're like wanting to get something to eat first. I was like, well, let's go to Disney Springs. We can shop around and let's go to Polite Pig. Like it's our jam. We love Polite Pig. And we looked like, man, it opens at 11, but that's all right. We can spend some time at Disney Springs. At like, I don't know, 11:45, I said to the girls, like, maybe we should get in line for Polite Pig. They're like, what are you crazy? Like, why would we get in line 15 minutes before it opens? I was like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. We're hungry. Let's be the first ones in there.
No.
There was only 15 people.
Oh my gosh.
Like, but man, but we got in line. It wasn't the right move. By the time we ordered, like, all the seats were gone. Basically, like, it was crazy.
That is crazy.
Get there early. Get there early for Polite Pig. I'm telling you, and it's so worth it. I love Polite Pig. Good pig.
I will also throw in a honorable mention for Wine Bar George. Maybe it was because I was pregnant and I was really happy to be able to eat real food at that point. But Wine Bar George was really good as well.
Never been there. Got to go there. Let's see. Coon Tracy on Instagram says we're headed to Epcot during spring break, staying at Art of Animation and plan on rope dropping. We'll be coming in on the Skyliner, of course. Would you rope drop Remy or Frozen? Obviously, Remy's gonna be first. Do you still need a? I'm trying. Do you need a virtual queue? No, that's not. That was old. So
no more virtual queue there.
Why was I thinking that? I got virtual queues on the mind.
So I think Remy gets busier throughout the day still than Frozen Ever After.
I do too.
And I would just say,
yeah,
kind of a preference. Like, what matters the most to your family that you do? Like if the kids really want to do Frozen Ever After over Ratatouille, then maybe go that route. And maybe if you're doing just Genie Plus, get a lightning lane for the other one or whatnot. But I mean, you're starting the day there in France. Like, let's keep that theme going, right? You know, international gateway. So I go to Ratatouille, grab a baguette or something afterwards, and move on with your day.
I actually agree.
Eclair.
I think Remy is the right choice because that line does. I mean, neither line goes down, but I feel like Remy has a much bigger line throughout the entire day than Frozen does lately. I mean, Frozen still has a long line. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like Remy doesn't go down at all during the day anymore. So.
I agree. Remy does stay solid. I mean, it's busy. All right, Justin's got a question here in the live chat. He's tuned in on Facebook. Good evening, everyone. For transportation from to Port Canaveral from a resort hotel, would you rather do private transportation or the Disney Cruise Line transfer bus? So I think all three of us tend to take private transfers, and there are reasons for that. And I'll just kind of spell those out just for time's sake here. One is that you determine your pickup time, right? You get to decide what time and you can pick up, you can also choose your vehicle type. You could do a limousine. You could do a town car. You could do we've done we call it like the party bus. It was kind of like an extended, it's like a church bus kind of thing, or, it was kind of like a limousine bus. It had a mirror ball in it and a big booming sound system, which you couldn't figure out how to work. But you get to pick out your vehicle type. You get to pick up, what time somebody's going to show up at your resort. You can do multiple stops if you need to, because one time Scott was at Old Key West. I can't remember, Coronado. Determined, go around to these three resorts, pick everybody up. Okay, let's head off to the port. And that gets you there, with your port arrival times and all that stuff. Disney Cruise Line, if you do that, now that's a little bit simpler because you won't have to worry about that stuff. Excuse me. They're going to give you an email about 24 hours to 48 hours prior telling you when and where to meet the Disney Cruise Line representative. It's going to be in the lobby of your resort hotel. They're going to tell you what to do with your luggage. They'll take care of your luggage at that point, tag it for you. It'll disappear. You'll be good. So it's very convenient to use Disney Cruise Line, but you don't have they tell you where to be and what time. If you do private transfers, you are in control. So you get a little, so Scott, I mean, did I summarize that? Like, because you usually make the same kind of choices there. What do you think?
Yeah, I there's not much more to add. I've done both. My first cruise, we did the Disney transfer and it was fun, right? It's kind of takes you back to the Magical Express. You got the excitement and, they kind of handle the bags there for you. If I recall, like it kind of goes, like you don't have to deal with the porters, and I love the porters out there too. But so your bags kind of magically will show up in your stateroom, kind of a deal. But I love the idea of controlling my own destiny with either using my own car that I rented or using the private transfer, and it's just fun. Like getting the limo, man. Like you're about to go on a cruise and like have like an amazing time. Like why not start that trip off with a bang and have the music blasting? You got your driver and all that. That's the way to go to do it in style.
And if you hit about it's usually about 4 to 5 people where the fare comes out about the same as a private transfer. I mean, 5, it's usually close. So, of course, you remember you're going to have gratuities with a private transfer and stuff like that. Of course, but it is a splurge, right? I mean, it's a little nicer. But I mean, there's nothing like kicking it off, rolling over and stuff. I mean, how often do you get to ride in a private transfer? It's pretty sweet.
Right. It's
All
awesome.
right. Jason's got a question. He's tuned in on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, Jason. Thoughts on the Flower and Garden Festival being shorter and ending in May this year? Well, I'm going to let Ricky take this one because it's kind of a news article, but I say...
It is.
Thank you. This is good.
Mhm.
Good news.
Yeah, I agree. I am actually really happy to see that it's ending early. There was no reason for it to last until,
August.
July. I mean, seriously, there was not. It had always ended in like the end of May before COVID. And then once they came back from COVID, I feel like they were trying to get people to come a little bit and stay, and I feel like maybe they were using the Flower and Garden Festival as like that weenie, as we, know in the Disney terminology, to get people to stay in those time periods. I don't know if that's the case, but it did seem odd that, they moved the Flower and Garden Festival all the way to July, and then they started the Food and Wine Festival like pretty much at the end of July. And I always thought that's way too long for both of those festivals. The Food and Wine Festival, because no one wants to eat hot soup in the middle of July. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. And soup is always one of the things that you get at the Food and Wine Festival, especially with the cheddar cheese version, and there's other kinds. So I always had trouble with the Food and Wine Festival starting at the end of July. So move that back to where it was supposed to be. Usually it was at the end of August, and then it's still hot at the end of August, but still it's a little bit better. And then move the Flower and Garden Festival up. I still think, here's what I still think that they should do. I think that they should make the Festival of the Arts just a little bit longer. Start the Flower and Garden Festival just a little bit later, not long, just maybe like a couple weeks, for that Festival of the Arts. Just extend it just a couple weeks, and then move the Flower and Garden Festival back, and then maybe keep Flower and Garden until mid-June. I feel like that would be a happy medium, but I know that they probably can't do it because they do have all those outside artists coming in for the Festival of the Arts. And I feel like that's the reason why we don't get a longer Festival of the Arts. That has to be the reason why, because it's such a popular event and it's so well done, but it's so short. And I always hate it because I either have to choose Marathon Weekend or I have to choose Festival of the Arts is usually how it ends up happening for me, because for me to go both of those time periods, it's just a lot to cram in, especially after having just gone for Christmas too. So I would love to see Festival of the Arts extended a little bit longer, push back Flower and Garden, and then get the Food and Wine where it was supposed to be. So that's kind of what I, if I was choosing how to do things, that's how I do it. But I'm really glad to see Flower and Garden back to at least its original idea. It was spring instead of going all the way into the middle of summer.
No, I agree. The thing is, you can't have them forever because then it kind of loses the luster.
Exactly. And then you get to go to Diet Epcot in the middle of the summer, which is what
it needs to be more than 12 days a year. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, I agree with that. And I wish Festival of the Arts was longer, but I mean, the thing is, you got to hit. They're so smart with that, right? Because you're not getting it if you go for Marathon. You're not getting it if you go for Princess.
This is I know.
You got to go right in between, which
yeah.
bites the runners, but I mean, that's exactly their goal. I mean, that's what the run weekends are for. They're supposed to get you down there when there's low crowds. I mean, that was the original intent. And
right. Of course.
Here's a great question from Matthew, one of my guests over at the Magic for Less. I love this question. I want to ask you guys about this. When do y'all think's the best time of the week to go to Disney Springs? We've struck out the last 2 times we've gone. It was super, super packed with a 3.5-hour virtual queue for Gideons. I mean, must be big cookie fans. I saw they just had their 3rd anniversary the other day.
Wow.
People were lining up like nobody's. I mean, come on now. So it's cookies. They're cookies and cake.
Yeah, but
people.
it was like a maple.
I don't care what they are.
That was
I mean,
good.
I
wish they had that all the time.
I don't know, man. I turned 50 and I'm just like, come on, people, for real. It's a cookie. It's a cookie. Dude, it's a cookie. Go get a cookie somewhere else. You don't have to wait in line all day for a cookie. I don't care what's in it.
It's actually a cake is what it is.
I mean,
That's true.
cookies and cake and all.
Too, yes.
Man, people were lined up like they were giving out gold bars. It was crazy.
I'd wait 4 hours for that cake. That's the best cake I ever had in my life.
Oh my God, it's wild.
Actually, I had, for the first time, I had some of their cake with Florence. She had bought a slice. And that's darn good cake.
It must be, man. I have not had it.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get back to Matthew's question. So, because I mean, if you go obviously on a Saturday night to the Springs, man, it is, I mean, it gets so crazy sometimes over on the west side where like traffic is like flowing one way and the other way, and you almost have to like get swept up in the current to like move like the direction you want to go. I mean, it's almost like a river. It's crazy to cross traffic. But I mean, Ricky, what do you think? Like if you're down there for like a week's vacation or 5 days, like, do you have a strategy of like, okay, this is a good time to go to the springs where we can actually enjoy it and not just be trampled?
I do. I'm going to say middle of the week and early. So I'm going to say, Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm going to say at 11, 10, 11 a.m. when they open, because I feel like that's going to be your best. There's not going to be as many people because people will still be at work that live in Orlando. And obviously a lot of people that come to Disney Springs are Orlando locals as well as, visitors to Walt Disney World. But you have, as the day goes on and people start getting off work, you have a much bigger chance of the locals coming in for dinner or to shop a little bit in the evening or, whatever. So I would say that 11 o'clock time period. And I said Tuesday or Wednesday because, again, you're losing the people that would come for, a 3 or 4 day weekend. Maybe they want to come in on Friday and they want to go to Disney Springs first. So you avoid that. And then the people who are leaving on Monday, and they don't have any other plans, so they go to Disney Springs last. So I feel like Tuesday or Wednesday would be the best options. And I have to tell you, Gideon's, it's going to be about a 3.5 hour wait no matter when you get there, pretty much. I mean, that 11 o'clock time slot, you might be able to get in within an hour or two. But once people start coming to Disney Springs and they start getting in that virtual queue, and you have people who do literally come to Disney Springs and get in that virtual queue, and that's it. That's all they want, really. So you're going to have a longer wait. So what I always do is, as soon as I get to Disney Springs, no matter what time of day it is, that's the first thing I do. I go to Gideon's and I get in the virtual queue line. That way I can do whatever I want at Disney Springs, whether it's shopping or eating or whatever. And then my chances of getting a cookie or cake or coffee from Gideon's is much better because it's probably going to be about a 3 hour wait for sure. I really haven't experienced it where it wasn't a 3 hour wait, and I've done all different kinds of times of the day for that. So that's just kind of how it is for Gideon's, unless you go to the one that's not at Disney Springs. That one doesn't have a wait. It's in Orlando proper, but it's not Disney. So
Scott, so we're thinking, I mean, obviously, like during the week, earlier in the day, right? So just you're trying to avoid the locals, obviously.
Yeah, I love going early in the day. Like, so there's been many times where I stay at Saratoga Springs, and we road drive Disney Springs.
Yeah,
that
is an awesome experience. Yeah,
and for the background loop fanatics like myself, they have a different background loop during the day. So it's a little more like not like upbeat or whatever. It's more like calming and all that. Like, I just love strolling through the springs early in the day. I mean, it's hit or miss on the Gideon's virtual queue. Like, I know Ricky's saying she's always had the 3 hour wait. I've been able to just get right into the line first thing in the morning too. So you might have some better luck. It might depend on the time of year too, if it's spring break or Christmas or whatever the case may be. But go there early, and it's actually really fun. If you're like got a non-part day or whatever, just hang out, like go to all those like kiosks that have like different food stands and whatnot. Just kind of make a morning of it. It's going to be relaxing. It's going to be the best Disney Springs experience you've had. Trust me.
I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Sneaking in a real quick question from E.M. Rossetti over on Instagram. Mike, how crazy are the parks during Cheer Summit weekend? Any tips? The parks are not that bad because the cheerleaders are mostly at the resorts and over at Wide World of Sports. The All-Star resorts are crazy. If you ever want to see them do some stunting out in the football fields at like sports, it is a nut house. Some gyms do that. Some gyms don't. And some of the world's teams will do that before Summit. So watch the videos on social media, but because they're not supposed to, but they do. The parks are not bad because most gyms see this as a business trip. I know that our gym, Platinum Athletics, would not let our athletes go into the parks until they had either won Summit or been eliminated from Summit. And that kind of stunk as a Parks fan because we had to buy tickets as part of our packages.
Yeah.
And so if we made it to finals, we didn't get to use all of our days. So it was, but I mean, we weren't there to play. We were there to win. And so that's kind of how that works. So the parks are not jam-packed with cheerleaders until like they are eliminated. So as you get to the finals days, you will see more cheerleaders in the parks. But even then, it's not too bad. So the parks are not bad. So good luck to your gym. It'll be fun. Okay, question here from Catherine on Facebook. Looking ahead to 2025, we want to do a split stay at 3 resorts over the course of 10 days, 2 nights at Pop, 2 at the Grand Floridian, and finish with a 5-night stay at Beach Club. What is the best way to do park tickets? For example, if a special comes out, and I have already seen that a 4 or 5 nights and 4-day park tickets trigger a special. If so, if that's the case, Beach Club would be the only way to get that deal, potentially looking at 7 park days. Any advice is greatly appreciated. So the way you want to do a split stay, typically, now this might not work with this. You might have to just kind of rethink your how you're staying in the hotels. You want to always put your tickets on the first stay and put enough length and you put all the tickets on the first stay. And then the other subsequent stays are going to be room onlys. So if you are going to do, I'm looking at it, if you're going to do 7 park days, you would make your first stay, even if it's a 2-night stay. And again, I don't know what the special is going to be because who knows for 2025 what the requirements would be. But you can do a 2-night stay with a 9-night ticket. You can do that. So you could do that so that the tickets are valid, because the tickets would be valid 9 days plus 2. So they'd be good for 11 days. And so you would do that, and that would cover your tickets for all 3 stays. Now, the specials, I don't know about, because, again, we don't know the details on that. But you would put the tickets, the first one you book as a package with a $200 deposit. You book the subsequent 2 stays as a room only. That's how that would go. I can't tell you about the specials, though, from there. All right. Let's see here. And Howard says, does anybody have any go-to sugar-free snacks anywhere in the world? I don't, because I don't typically eat sugar-free.
We're sugar addicts here.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm terrible about that.
Maybe someone in the chat can help us with that, though.
That's true.
Maybe. I mean, obviously, I think the best thing to do is going to be talking to the chefs or counter service restaurants and see, what they have for you. But yeah, I don't typically get anything sugar-free, and I don't know that a lot of sugar-free stuff is kind of advertised either. So I would definitely talk to the people at the shops or the chefs or whatever and see what they might have for you. They might be able to whip up. I mean, I know at table service meals, they can whip up something fantastic. So that's the best option I can say. There's nothing like go-to that I can think of.
All right, let's go to the inbox. Krista's got a question, and she says, hey, Mike, it's Krista from Richmond. Hope all is well in the Midwest. I have a quick question for you about my family's first Disney cruise. My family, me, my mom, my sister, my grandma, and my dad, the only man always surrounded by women. Hey, that's my story and Scotty G's. I mean, that's how it is. Are taking a Disney trip the first week of April 2024. We're doing 4 days in the park, staying at our home resort of the Riv, and then finishing with a 3-day sailing on the Disney Dream. The boat leaves out of Fort Lauderdale. We're driving to Florida, so the original plan was to simply drive from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale. However, things have changed. My dad cannot join us on the cruise anymore due to a work obligation. We are trying to save him 6 additional hours of flying by finding another means of transportation from the Riv to Fort Lauderdale. My question is, does Disney offer transportation to the cruise port? And if so, how do we book it? Thanks for always being so helpful. My dad is not a podcast guy. However, he has listened to the episode we did together many, many times now. When he found out he couldn't come on the cruise and we needed another means of transportation, he said, ask our buddy Mike. Mike will know what to do. He's a fellow girl dad. He gets it. That's awesome. That's best, Krista. Your dad's awesome, by the way. I give him a bell. Thank you. So, unfortunately, Disney Cruise Line does not offer transportation from the Riv to Fort Lauderdale. That'd be a super long bus ride. This isn't going to help in the situation. They do offer transportation from Lauderdale Airport and Miami Airport to the Newport and out of Fort Lauderdale. So if you're flying into those 2 airports, you can, and it's cheap. The transfers there are cheap, but you could take the Brightline train. That's an option now, and that might be an option. If you don't want to drive, that'd be your best option, I would guess. I think it's like $70. That goes down to Miami, doesn't it? Down towards that way. I'm pretty sure it does. I've never gone that way, but I'm almost positive that train goes south down to Miami.
I think I just saw a map and I saw that it went that way. So yeah, I think it does go.
That's what I would do. I mean, yeah. Okay, so put your dad on the train. I mean, girl dads and trains. I mean,
train.
That's what I'd do. All right, let's get to the final question of the day. Who's it going to be? Let's go with Sean. Hey, BOG crew, we have a quick trip scheduled for February 6th through 10, staying at Saratoga Springs. My wife has an AP, but I only have a standard non-park hopping ticket. I don't need to make a park reservation, but my wife does. We're scheduled to be at Epcot on Wednesday, the 7th. That night, Magic Kingdom has extended evening hours for deluxe hotels. Will I be able to hop over to Magic Kingdom after our Epcot day, or our day at Epcot? Or do I need to add Hopper to my ticket to take advantage of the extended evening hours? Thanks for all you do. Go Blue. Sean is up in the mitten. Wait, I think he got his backwards. Oh, his wife does. Okay, yeah, his wife has the AP. Yeah, you're right. Okay, your wife has to make yeah, okay, yeah, he's right. So he does not need to make a park hopper. Right?
Yes. He has to have a park hopper in order to if they are going to a park
for the
that does
extended
not
evening hour. Oh, I was thinking after hours. He's not talking about after hours. Is he?
Yeah, the
Actually,
evening hours.
Yes.
Yes, he will need to have a park hopper. Yes.
After our okay, you just said after our day. I was thinking I saw after, and I was thinking
Yes,
after hours.
He will need to have a park hopper for that.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Oh, and Michelle, one of our great agents over at the Magic for Less, who covers for my guests when I am out running many miles, and she's going to be running Dopey in 25, so she cannot cover for me, but I'll be racing her if I do it again. I can't say. I said I was retired.
Wait a second. I know.
Like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not running again. I've retired.
Sure.
But regardless, Michelle says Plaza Ice Cream Parlor has sugar-free ice cream. She thinks.
There we go.
She thinks
that would make sense. Yeah.
And I would say to Sean, like, I know the park hopper is a little more pricey, but like you're just going to add so much more flexibility to your days.
Especially if your wife has a annual pass anyway.
Yeah. So I know it hurts sometimes to do that. Like your credit card's going to be crying a little bit, but I think it'll bring tears of joy.
That's true.
With having that hopper.
By the way, Michelle's in our live chat. What are the names of your kids, Michelle? Because I was supposed to give them a shout out on the podcast about 2 weeks ago, and I totally missed it. And I knew when we stopped recording, I forgot to send them a shout out. So if you put it in the chat in the next 30 seconds, they're getting their shout out live here on the show as we wrap. And it is Merrick and Marin. So shout out.
Merrick and Marin?
I know, isn't that cool? So shout out.
I love it.
I love that. I appreciate this. This is why I love recording live. It's the best thing in the world. And Michelle is a lifesaver for me. I could not run the races without folks like Michelle and Jeanette and Ben and all the folks who cover for me. That's the Magic for Less team is great because seriously, I mean, now when I'm out there running down along the Los Angeles River Basin, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And then I get to the finish line. I'm like, this is awesome again. But Scott, did you wonder where we were when we were running like past the Honda Center and like looking at that kind of creek? And then we had to
you always run by that.
I didn't know. I was like, where
there's
are
that one
we?
race.
I'm under a train. Like I'm under an Amtrak.
Yeah.
I'm like, where am I?
There's that epic race weekend where like the Santa Ana winds were so bad, like all that was debris was just flying on that little roadway there. Like it was so bad. Luckily, I did not run at that race, but I've heard horror stories of like how the winds are so bad and just like, just a mess.
Yeah,
it's a weird spot in the race course for sure.
It was a weird spot because you went down, made a hard right, like and double back, and I'm like, what? Yeah. Like I swear the Amazing Race like started right there one time. Yeah. Like
that's where we caught the big Lizard group, like Joe, Stacy, Jared, Emily, all of them. Like we're right there. It was pretty awesome.
I was like, I don't know where I am, but I just hope I'm a couple miles from home. I just want to be back. I want to be done. I want to be finished with this race and get my medal. So yeah, it was fun. All right, so that's going to do it for today's show. You have a question, Mike at BeOurGuestPodcast.com. Of course, you can join us as we record on Mondays live around 5:30 Eastern, so drop on in. All the places, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and be a part of the show like everybody was today. So much fun. Our show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan that next Disney vacation, whether you're going to the West Coast, Florida, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, Seeing the World, whatever it is, Alani will take great care of you, no cost to you, and get you little goodies along the way. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Thanks for using our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It's January. Get all that organizational stuff to make 2024 awesome. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons. You guys make all these shows possible. It is awesome, and your support means the world to us. $5 a month keeps us going, and we appreciate that so much. And you get that bonus show. It's Mike in the Midwest. So come on over, patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. You need some good follows on the socials. We got them right here. Ricky Nibs, RIKKINIBS, Epscott, EPSCOT, Be Our Guest Mike. We're on all the places, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and everywhere else. You can find us on Facebook too, so give us a follow there. And this Sunday night, this dude to my right, left, I can't tell because I'm married, but he will not be there. And I'm giving him an excused absence. As a former teacher, I still hold that power because his Lions will be taking on the 49ers, and I'll be cheering him virtually here as I have the live call-in show, and I need your calls because it's just you and me talking Disney for an hour. Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. So we'll have the BOGP open line with you and me and your calls, and we'll be wishing great thoughts for the Lions during that show. So it'll be a good time. All right, we're going to get out of here. We're going to be back on Friday. We're going to have a good time because we're going to be having a show called Your Thoughts On, and we're just going to throw out some topics. For example, I was thinking about this on the treadmill this morning. I'm going to ask Ricky and Scott about your thoughts on the current state of virtual queues. Hot topic, kind of. I mean, because, you know, they work kind of all over the place. They're in certain places now, not as much as they used to be. But what are our current thoughts on virtual queues or current thoughts on Country Bears? You know, we could talk about some different things. We're only limited to like 5 minutes to kind of hop around to different topics and just, you know, jump in. And we'll have a discussion on social media or Sunday night on the call-in show. So be ready for that on Friday. So until we do that, I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. I know what day of the week it is now. I figured it out. I'm not no dummy. We'll get going here. But for Ricky and Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.